Next slide. Okay, so at Piece by Piece, we say that what we do is we use the internet to connect women so that women can share their experiences with each other. They can learn from each other about the different kinds of things that they are doing to build peace on the ground in their communities, and then they can act with each other to support additional projects that are being done on the ground. And as the quote says here from one of our members, you cannot tell what we are just by looking at us. That you really need to connect and learn about each other. And just looking at someone doesn't tell you much about who they are or where they're coming from, or whether or not they can be a partner with you in promoting social change. Next slide. We say that Piece by Piece is about real women, real solutions, and real peace. And you see here, one of our members in the U.S. says that, she still stands, on the corner every week to be able to advocate for peace in the world. Next slide. We also, wonderful Vietnamese artist, a member of Piece by Piece, that does the peace mural, and she really, argues that, she doesn't want to get excuses from anyone, that whether you're a doctor, a teacher, a singer, whoever you are, if you tell her what you do, she will tell you what you can do for peace. In other words, what she's saying is that no matter who we are, everyone has a contribution to make for peace. And at Piece by Piece, we really believe that, it's equally important to have grassroots women involved in peace building, particularly if it's going to be sustainable, and that there's a role for everyone to play. Next slide. Other quote from a member, Iman, who's actually one of our citizen journalists that does a lot of stories for us on the region, and she talks about that, how traditionally, women have been like cocoons from the day they were born. They were labeled as weak creatures, but at the minute that we find our way, those descriptions don't make sense for us anymore. One of the things that you find is that a lot of the interaction and dialogue that women have in the Piece by Piece global network really motivates and inspires women to step out of the roles that they've been on, to take on the responsibility of crossing the divides, doing the courageous things like building relationships with other individuals from the other side of the track, if you will, and taking responsibility for doing the hard work that needs to be done to sustain peace. Next slide. Chantal from Rwanda talks about how her life has changed, and she is a survivor of the genocide in Rwanda, and she talks about how important it is to be determined to work for a bright future, and she particularly works to advocate for the rights of children, young girls, and women. Next slide. And then one from Korea, who we have a quote from, was one of the comfort women, and she talks about how rape and war rape is not just a past issue, but a current one, as many of us know. And she says that every time a war occurs, women like herself will suffer, and as a result, we will demand an end to war for all women. Next slide. One of our members in East Jerusalem talks about that if we're willing to make change happen, that it's going to happen, whether or not we're in Sri Lanka or we're in the U.S. So really talking about that willingness, that persistence is also important and significant in being able to build peace. Next slide. Advance. So Piece by Piece is really about raising women's voices for peace. Advance, please. Some of the resources that we have, one of the first projects that Piece by Piece did was a documentary video called Piece by Piece, Women on the Front Lines. It's a film that profiles the peace-building work of women across 5 continents. In fact, we have a number of representatives here from Search for Common Ground, and one of the organizations that we featured in the film was Search for Common Ground, Burundi, and the wonderful work that they were doing with Peace Radio there. Second major project that we've done, and you see 60 Years, 60 Voices, is really Palestinian Women, which is a book of interviews and photographs that were published in Hebrew, Arabic, and English, where we have Israeli and Palestinian women talking about how they believe that peace is possible. They don't say that it's easy, but they say that it's possible, and it's important for women to be the ones that lead in bringing that about. We also have a front page feature on our website that's called Voices from the Front Lines, where every week we have stories from 4 women around the world. I think if you want to get your story out to the Piece by Piece Network, this is a really great place where you can do that, to tell people what the issues are on the ground, where you are, and what are the kinds of creative things that you're doing to be able to solve it. We also have e-media, we have an online newsletter, and we have other online resources that our members can use. And finally, we have the week by week and the This Week's Peace Action blogs, where members of the community discuss current issues and peace action. I have a little clip from our book, 60 Years, 60 Voices. You can find more about the book at the Piece by Piece website or at www.60voices.org. Please click on the video.
Redemption will come through women this time. We had the male model for so long, and it's just not getting us where we really want to go. Now, women give birth to children, and